Well, hey there, neighbor. It's me, Angie. Come on in here. It's raining today. Well, actually, it's been raining since yesterday. But boy, guess what I woke up to? The sirens going off in town saying that we had a tornado warning. So what I do, I have to jump up, get in my wheelchair, get in my safe place, so in case a tornado comes. Needless to say, James is working days today, so here I am by myself trying to get all situated, getting into my safe place, and just wheeling in there and sitting for a few minutes until the warning goes away, which lasted maybe 25 minutes. But you all decided to come over anyway. The weather's gone. I mean, it's sprinkling outside and everything, but I mean, it's nothing heavy. No, it's not heavy rain. It may get a little heavier this afternoon because it's supposed to rain again tomorrow. But anyway, I'm so glad you decided to come by. You know, get your orange juice, your lemonade, your tea, your cranberry juice. Of course, I have my drink. Get your snacks, whatever you want to eat, because we're going to have a neighborhood meeting. A little neighborhood chat. A little neighborhood, let's get to know our neighbor. That's what we're going to talk about today. Let's get to know our neighbors. Now, I know we meet here on a regular basis, and you all are so good about coming by, leaving comments in my chat, leaving the thumbs up. You come to my lives. I mean, boy, did y'all show up for my birthday live celebration. I mean, it was just a wonderful time. I think everybody had a good time that day. But what I want to talk to you about today is a little more, I wouldn't say serious, but we kind of tone it down a little bit. It seems like we've been partying a lot here lately. You know, there's only so much partying you can do, and then, you know, you got to rest. And you got to get back in the real world, and you have got to start thinking about things other than just having a good time. Because, you know, when we're all having a good time, things seem to be going well. Everybody's in a good mood. Everybody's having a good time. Everybody's happy. Everybody's upbeat. But guess what? When we have to go back to reality, not so much. So, neighbors, what I want to talk to you, come on now, neighbors, come on in here. What I want to talk to you about today is, why don't we just take our mask off for a minute? I mean, do you really think people will, number one, want to see who you really are? Now, as far as I am, what you see is what you get. Now, I've explained to you before, sometimes when I wake up in the morning, I don't talk very much because I'm in a lot of pain. But my upbeat, positive personality is who I am 95% of the time. Somebody has a problem, I'm always looking on the positive side of things. You know, that used to irritate James a lot when we first got married. He would always say, you just live in Disneyland. You always look at the good side. Don't you ever think something bad's going to happen? Well, of course I do. I know there's bad things that happen. Bad things that's happened to me. Bad things that's happened to people in my family. But I still look for the better side of everything. Now, that's just my personality. Now, why don't we just take our mask off and let everybody see who we really are? Or do we know who we really are? Do you know who you really are? Now, some of you may think you do, and you really don't. Now, I did that back in my younger years. I thought I really knew who I really was and as a person, but that wasn't who I really was. So I had to face myself and realize, you know, I'm just going to be me. And if people want to be around me, so be it. And if they don't, that's okay. Because there are so many people in this world. I mean, there are enough people in this world to go around that everybody can have friends. You know, we don't need to be worried about what everybody else is doing. We need to be concerned about how we're portraying ourselves and who we really are. Now, I know some people can't be positive all the time, but if you want to learn how to be positive, just wake up every morning and write down 3 positive things that you can think of that may be real or may not be real. Things that you want to happen or things that have already happened. You know, things that you can look back on. Just always know that your perception is your reality. You know, what we perceive is what we believe is true. Now, my perception of this world is mostly positive. I see people in a good light until they prove me wrong. Now, eventually, I feel like all I have to do is just be me. And if someone is trying to deceive me about who they are, their true colors are eventually going to come out. They can't hide forever because their true being is going to come out. They're going to show who they really are. And when they do show who they really are, believe them. I mean, if someone is has deceived you and they've been really nice and kind and then all of a sudden they're not, and you find out that they're not the person that you thought they were, then believe them. That's who they really are. But don't attack that person. Just say, okay, now I know. I went to school. You can just say you went to school in that area. Lesson learned. You won't go back to that territory anymore. But that doesn't mean that you have to destroy that person because you and that person are no longer acquaintances. Because, you know, in my reality, I only have probably a handful of true friends that I know without a shadow of a doubt that they're going to be with me no matter what. Now, I wouldn't lead them down a road of wanting them to follow me to do something that I know is wrong. I wouldn't dare ask them to do that. But I know they would stand by me if I was going through pain, or they would celebrate with me if I was having a joyous moment, and they wouldn't judge me. And if I did something to them, they would easily forgive me because I'm only human. I mean, I do wrong things. I say the wrong things sometimes. Sometimes people take what I say the wrong way, and I really didn't mean it the way I said it. But what I say and what people hear are 2 different things. So be careful what you say about someone, what you hear that someone says about you, and just be yourself. And when there's people, I've learned this from experience. Some friends of ours back years ago were separating. They no longer wanted to be married. Back then I was young and naive and hadn't been through any of that before. And of course I took the ladies' side, you know, and the female side, because she was my friend. Well, of course I was defending her, taking up for her, doing everything. You know, she was bashing her husband, so I was like, yeah, he's sorry, he's no good. You're doing the right thing. You shouldn't be with him. I mean, I wasn't saying anything about him that she wasn't saying. Now, I was in my 20s when this was going on. Well, come to find out, guess what? A few months later, they get back together. Well, guess who becomes the outcast? I do. Because the husband realized that I stuck with her. He knew I had talked about him. He knew that I didn't really care for him to be around him. Now, as far as liking him or disliking him, He never was on that scale to be measured to whether I liked him or disliked him. He was just a person to me. And so from that moment on, she and I wasn't very good friends anymore because she went back to her husband and he didn't like me. He didn't like me because he knew how I really felt about him. Okay, here's my point. When a married couple, or two people are having a disagreement, oh, you're walking on dangerous territory when you get in the middle. And here's the thing. There's no sides. It's the female and the male, if they're trying to work out a relationship. Now, they each have a side, but you don't. You don't really have a side in it. You can tell your friend, oh, I'll support you. I'll be there if you want me to listen to what you have to say. Don't ask me my opinion about it because I want you to figure it out. I will, now don't get me wrong, I would never let him hurt her. But now that I look back, and I've never done it again, ever since that experience, I've never got involved in a quarrel that someone else was having with somebody, because I learned my lesson of, oh no, I look like the bad person now, and all I was trying to do was, take up for my friend and support her, and it didn't work out. But anyway, watch yourself when that happens. But as far as being yourself, never be ashamed of where you come from. Don't tell fibs about things that never really happened in your life because you think that people will like you even more. I mean, be true to yourself. If you suffer with depression, anxiety, overeating, just anything, if someone asks you about it, who knows? Maybe one of the problem that you're dealing with, maybe you can help someone else. For example, my heart doctor told me, we probably saved a lady's life because of you. That's what he told me at the heart doctor yesterday. And I said, what happened? He said, well, at the time you had got your pacemaker, there was no medical reason why you needed a pacemaker. You were young. You had no other problems. Your family history had no indication that there were any heart problems. And he said, and only a year later, they found out that you had neurosarcoidosis. And because of that, they looked at your heart again and said that what was wrong with your heart was because of sarcoidosis. The electrical part broke down. So then we had an answer to our question. Why is this 45-year-old woman coming in here with no other health problems and she has 100% heart block and needs a pacemaker? We didn't know the answer. All we knew was to just put you a pacemaker in. He said, well, guess what? We had a 39-year-old female to come in, and she had the same thing that you have. And as soon as we put the pacemaker in, I looked over at the doctor and said, make sure she gets checked for sarcoidosis. And he said that would not have happened if it wouldn't have been for you. If I hadn't seen your case and followed you and met you, none of that would have happened. I would have never thought about checking her for autoimmune disease. Well, I didn't feel like I had really done anything. I was excited that they found out what was wrong with the young lady and she could get treatment. And it wouldn't go, be devastating like mine. But the fact is, when you are yourself, you meet so many people that need what you have to offer. And you say, well, I might not have anything to offer. But you do. You just don't realize it. Now, if there's a little voice inside you telling you that you don't have any talent, you're not worth anything, you have to pretend with people, no, don't listen to that. You start thinking of positive things, being around positive people. Now, don't hang around negative Nancy's. Don't be around people that are always putting you down, telling you how wrong you are, that you're never right, You're never going to be anything. You're never going to accomplish anything. No. Be around people that are positive. Always be around people that, if it's possible, always speak nice, kind things to people. Now, I know there comes a time that you may have to be firm with someone that is really attacking you. Now, don't get me wrong. And at that moment, you do that. But then move on. You know, in my Christianity, it says in the Bible, there's a time for everything. And there is a time for everything. And so when you get to that moment, there's even a time for anger. You can be angry, but you just don't hold on to it. You have your moment and move on. And the only person that is really hurting by being angry and really holding something against someone is you. Do you know that that can break your physical body down and cause you to have physical ailments or things that could go wrong in your body because you're holding things against someone else that you think they may have done to you? What difference does it make? Is it going to matter tomorrow? Is it going to matter next week? You know, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. My husband, this past weekend when we were at the coast, he gets a call. The guy one of the men that worked with him, they found his 20-year-old son that they woke up and went in his bedroom. He wasn't alive. He went to sleep that night. He was fine. He had no medical problem. They get up the next morning to go wake him up. He's no longer with us. 20 years old. They don't know what happened. So I'm telling you, you never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. Live to the fullest. Now, when I tell you this, I've had to learn this myself. I'm not just I've done these things my whole life. But when you get in the situation that I am, your perception changes and you start realizing what's important and what's not. Now, I've never been one about things, material things. I've never been one to just want material things. All I really wanted was my family, a family environment. I wanted my children to be close. I wanted James and I to raise our children and for them to be an adult that can function in the society as a good adult. That may have been the wrong word to use, not good. Productive adult. Make their own decisions because I'm not going to always be here. That's one thing we parents have to understand. It's an injustice for us to not allow our children to become who they are because we're not going to always be here. They need to become the person that they were always meant to be. Sometimes as parents we want to hold back and hover over them and protect them and not let them really fly the nest. But no, you got to let them get out there and fly. And boy, does that hurt. I cried for weeks after my son went off to college. I couldn't believe it. Now, don't get me wrong, I was happy for him, but I was sad for me because he had been with me until he was 18 years old. But now that I look at him, he has a great job, a wonderful wife, a child. So, how can I be sad about that? I had to let him go. Don't hold on to people so tight. When you start trying to control people, that's when you start having trouble. You need to let people freely be who they are and let them see who you are. It's okay to be silly. It's okay to have different beliefs. It's okay to just act different any way you want to, as long as you don't hurt anybody. Hurting someone is something you can't take back. this right here, when you say words that are not nice, you can't take those back. Once they're said, they're out there. And no matter how many times you say, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't make up for the fact that you said those words. Because that person hears those words over and over again. So my message to you today, neighbor, is be kind. Love your neighbor. Love yourself. You have to love yourself before you can love your neighbor. Because see, neighbors, I love each and every one of you. I'm so happy that you decide to come to my house and visit with me, and we can have these conversations. Now, I know today has been a little serious, but let's just remember, we have tomorrow, and we can talk about something different tomorrow that may be joyous and funny, but today had to be serious, because I want you to know that friendships are very serious. Don't ever take them lightly, because the very person that you think that you wouldn't necessarily want to be around, they may become your best friend. So just remember that. And that being said, neighbor, I'll see you next time. Now remember, like, share, subscribe, ring that bell so you'll know the next time that I'm coming to you with, well, let's hope, not a serious conversation as this. But you know, sometimes we have to have serious conversation because I need to hear it too. I need to hear myself say, Angie, be kind, be nice. Sometimes people don't know to do better until they're taught to do better. They're only doing what they know to do. So you may be setting the example for them to follow of how to treat someone. So remember, be kind. Until we meet again. Bye, neighbor.